breathe.
It's not horrendous.
Okay. How we doing?
I'm good, I'm rolling.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're ready to go. So why don't you start with what you wanted to say about apologizing?
Yeah, okay. Hello. Start out this way. I'd like to apologize to my people because a veteran, we hold our veterans very highly. Yes, I guess I earned a little part of it, but in due respect to what they went through, the many battles they have seen, I have heard them talk and tell about it. I did not see things like that, so in my own language, I would like to apologize to my people and to the true warriors that were ahead of me. Ihawang masashera egwaranevina. Degi hingi kara erege waruskachkare gacha. Onine gacha ke igani erini erani. Ege nei hekchen nei aperes na kereski hanin. Wango shaya choweri gerera. Igo chekho giaide. Ona gere anagre ska traide. Agore romangno ngaitat anagrovana. Si ona shinda. Edachtin reiskaniska hawa skone. Thank you. I was just apologizing to my people that there's a lot more deserving to be sitting here and giving this interview than me. Out of respect for them, I will do my best. Well, way back in 1941, I was going to a school at the Indian school in Nielsville. I can remember them saying that the United States was at war. What is war? What was war? What is war? Really, I didn't know anything about it. We heard the president was going to ask to declare war on Japan. Japan, what is Japan? You know, all this stuff is so new to me, or what would you say? Well, I really didn't know. I guess many of us were that way. What is war? Well, as time went on, a lot of our Ho-Chunk young lads at the time volunteered to go, and that what is that, the 32nd Division, I think it was, up there in Clark County. And the boys that men folks that served in World War I were also in a 32nd Division. So the boys were volunteering. I don't like the word boys. The men folks were volunteering to go into service. As I think back to that time, my goodness, you know, my people weren't even citizens of the United States at that time, and they were willing to defend it. They didn't wait to be drafted or anything. This is our homeland. This is where our families was. I guess that was their ways of protecting it. I mean, I'm thinking about this how many years later. But I can remember the boy, again I said the boy, well, I guess they were young fellows, boys at the time. They were getting ready to go to someplace basic training. I think, if I remember correctly, it was down in Louisiana or someplace. And they had a parade on the streets of Nailsville by the armory. Some of the non-Indians that were in the National Guard, I don't know if they had National Guards at the time yet or not, but there were some of them were in uniform. But because of the fact that our military wasn't anywhere near what it is today, they were short of uniforms, and here our boys, our Ho-Chunk boys, were marching with them in their civilian clothes. But to us, to me, how would you say, they were marching off to war. And I really envied them. I can see myself hiking down the sidewalks alongside and following the parade. I was real proud of them. Well, as time went on, some of them come back. Before going overseas, they come home on furlough, and boy, I don't know how to express it, but to me, that seeing them in uniform done something to me. I wanted to be that. I distinctly remember Roy Govern coming back. From what I understand, he was in a Coral Sea battle and he was wounded. But he come back and had a Navy uniform on, but the very first time I can remember ever seeing a uniform, Navy uniform. But whatever, they were soldiers, they were warriors, and I just envied them. I was wishing it would. Matter of fact, I guess a lot of the youngsters like me were feeling that way, because we went back to the boarding school and we was marching around the sidewalks, and somebody was calling cadence like we saw them doing up there on the streets, but we was living that part. Well, as time goes on, I left Indian school. I went back up to Adams. My grandmother passed away in 1939, and I was coming back there because there was a boarding school. I come back there I left there when I was in, I don't know, before the 8th grade, and I went back up to Adams. The very first time I ever went to a school other than an Indian school. Wow, what a experience. I was the only Indian in the whole school. But they were nice. They were good to me. A little ahead of my story, I lost my mom when I was just a baby. My dad went back to Nebraska when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I was raised by my grandmother. Drowning was her Indian name. My Uncle Abel, they raised me, and they always told me to respect the older people, anybody that's older than I am. And I try to live by that. I think it's a good life. That's about one of the best traditions that ever taught to us is respect. Try to keep that going. I tell my kids, it don't hurt. It's very easy to say thank you, say please, say sir, Mr., Mrs. I've been telling them that, and I still keep telling them as old as they are now. Well, anyway, I used to be kind of angry at my brother-in-law because my neighbor kids were out there playing, and he'd have him working on a gas engine, or fixing tires or something. I was really angry at him, because he worked on the railroad, and he had a lot of friends, a lot of farmer friends. He made homemade tractors for them. And he made me help him as a mechanic, do mechanic work, so. But little did I know what I was learning there was going to help me through my lifetime. Well, anyway, I got mad at him, angry at him, and I left. I must have been about, I don't know, 14 years old. I left. I went to Madison. What was I going to do down there? I didn't even know anybody down there, but I don't even really know how we got to Madison. A long time, but I went up finding my half-brother. He was working on construction there, and He said, why don't you come and ask for a job? Sure, I'll try anything, you know. I'm sure Fritz Construction Company in Madison at that time, I'm sure they must have knew I was just a kid, but a kid that needed help, so they hired me. Later on, I went to work for Findorf, what was it, J.H. Findorf. I guess they're still there yet. Now that I think about it, it must have been out of goodness of their heart that they hired me. Well, I don't think child labor law was going on or was going on that time, whatever. Yes, I can remember my first payday. Wow. I think the laborers were getting something like 85 cents an hour that time. To me, that was big money. Well, anyways, I seen a lot of military people around Madison. Truex Field was there, radio school or something. I don't know what was going on there. But I seen quite a few soldiers wandering around. Boy, and I just wish I could be one of them. Well, when I was 14, 1943, I think it was, I had a friend, Ernie Garvin. He was from around here. Him and I went to Indian school together. And I told him, I said, hey, let's enlist in service. He said, you're too young. They won't take you. Well, that's what I want you for. I said, you can help me say that I'm telling the truth, whatever. Well, you're going to have your birth certificate. Well, I wasn't born in no hospital. I said, we can always tell them that way. Tell them something. Well, I finally convinced him we should go. Well, we was in Madison. He was going to come back here. He said, when I come back, we'll go enlist. Well, that son of a gun, he never did go back. Go back up there. I guess he fell in love with a shy young Indian gal up here or something. He never did go back to Madison, so I wish I knew just how old I was. I must have been about 14, 15 years old. I went and enlisted. And I walked up to the post office there in Madison. As a matter of fact, that building is still there. They had the Marines, Army, and Navy. Walked up there and remember that guy, the Marine officer, the guy looked at me, hey kid, what are you up to? Well, I guess he knows what I am. I better get out of here. And went over to the Army there and hello there, young fella. You want to join up? And that sailor was standing there with, hey, I like this uniform a lot better. This Army fellow, he had a necktie on. Geez, I never ever did like neckties. I still don't. That Navy guy, he had that hanging way down here. Well, we'll go to him. But by gum, he was good to me. He talked to me and took my name down and everything. But he was really hesitant because I didn't have no birth certificate. I told him, I said, my mom died when I was a little fellow, and I said I was bounced around. I done a whole bunch of lying. But he gave me a chance, but they somehow, I got as far as Milwaukee, and they found out, I don't know, my half-sister or somebody found out, and they kicked me home. I got a train ride out of the deal anyway. Felt kind of bad about it. Well, I went back to working around there, and finally, again, I remember I was 16 years old. As a matter of fact, I still got hey, no, I was 15, that's right, because you're 16, you can get a driver's license. So 15, I went up there to get a driver's license. I told him I was 16 years old, and I had a heck of a time figuring out what year to say, because like I say, I never did finish 8th grade. Oh my gosh, whatever, I got my driver's license anyway. So armed with that, I went and enlisted again. Well, again, they caught me. So, now that I think about it, it was kind of funny. Well, anyway, they finally took me. I got a uniform. I was in Great Lakes, and I was with a whole bunch of guys in Milwaukee. And we got to Great Lakes, and everybody went across to the main side, and here they kept me there. They said I was flat-footed. Well, I have got a very low arch. And they kept me, we had to go take a, what do you call it, physical? And every day, geez, they took me up there running around barefooted, stepping on a wet spot, then it was powder, and they had me climbing and jumping down. I bet you no pair of feet ever had the attention mine did. Finally, I got tired of it, and I told them, I said, look, I got a hell of a lot more to walk on than you guys have. Because, the reason I wanted to go so bad, and I was scared they were going to kick me out again. And I'll be dang, they shipped me over there to the main side. I got into boot camp. I met the instructor, and boy, he could holler real good. But that didn't bother me. I just enjoyed that. So here I got a uniform on and out there marching. But that boot camp, I wanted the real thing. I wanted out of there. Heck, I can do anything like that. I wanted out of there. And they told us to read the, what do they call it, the bulletin board, I guess they call it. No, what is going on was there. Here they said they needed, what the heck did they call them? Armed guard. The merchant marine ships couldn't carry guns on their ships because they were civilians. So they had put Navy personnel on there to man the guns. And they was looking for volunteers. So I volunteered for armed guard school. It was in Farragut, North Dakota or something. I don't know. I don't remember. Someplace. I volunteered for it, and I'll be dang. A couple of days later, they called me and they said that I was being shipped out to get all my gear ready. That time we used to be sleeping in hammocks, and everything had to be rolled, all our clothes rolled, and put them in a sea bag and wrapped the hammock. I don't think I could do it anymore, but blankets, you name it, everything was all wrapped up in there. And here they come after me. You got to go down to the drill hall. Now I don't know how am I going to go down there? I thought I was being shipped out. Here I got shot, and I got shot. I had to take all my shots at one clatter because I had to take so many shots while he was in boot camp and I was leaving early. I took them all. Oh my gosh, by the time I got back to the barracks, I couldn't lift my arm. They hollered for me, a Jeep waiting for me. I had to get out there. One of my buddies, they carried my sea bag out there and he helped me aboard the Jeep when I was leaving Great Lakes. Oh my gosh, that's been a long time ago. Well, they put on a train. There were no planes, no flying. It was all troop trains. It was just being on a troop train gave me a real good feeling. I'm with the military now. I was real proud of my uniform. And I asked, where in the heck is this? I thought we were heading out west someplace. Smoley Hoax here. We was out in Pennsylvania. They said, hey, well, I'm going the wrong way. I didn't know where the heck I was going. That's how dumb I was. I suppose they gave me all my orders, but I never read them. Well, I'm just going along what they tell me to do. So here I wound up in Rhode Island. Camp Endicott. So I got to think of these places. A little foggy up there. Well, anyway, Why, this is what an Armed Guard school looks like. Here it was a CB. CB, yeah, a construction battalion. And I went in there, and here they were, to me, they were all old men. The youngest one must have been maybe in their middle 20s, but they were guys who were in their 30, 40 years. I saw them as old men. But they were all tradesmen. Carpenters, plumbers, mechanics. Every one of them, though we was in basic training, every one of them had non-petty officers. That was the youngest one there. Taking a boot camp, and them poor guys, they suffered. Running us, bayonet practice, and all this and that. To me, I was so happy I had the real gun in my hand. I was having I was having a good time. And so these guys were just, they were just all pooped out. Well, then I read the bulletin board again. There was a trucking outfit. I don't remember what the number of battalion was going to Europe, and that's where I wanted to go because my half brothers, Frank, Willis, and Chris, they were all in Europe. I wanted to go over there, so I volunteered for that. Here I had to go to truck driving school before I can get in there. Where'd I go for the truck driving school? And they told me, so I went out there. And, heck, I could drive a truck before. And I got looking at that construction company, driving one of my jobs. Well, I got out of that school just as quick as I could. When I was in here, the draft had already left. Oh, boy. So I didn't make that one. I don't know, I had several different jobs around there. Matter of fact, I even went with the Shore Patrol. We took troop trains across to California. Come back on a civilian train. I was really seeing the country then. Well, I was enjoying myself, like I said. Took another one over there. And here they gave us clothing. They gave us a different clothing, and the guys were saying, you can always tell where you're going by the clothes they give you. They give you some fall weather gear and heavy clothes. Yeah. Hey, maybe I'm going to Europe now. I went up in the Pacific. Yes, I took Marine training and that. I had all kinds of training, but I looked in my records. None of that shows up in there. Me going to a truck driving school. What else was there? Was stevedore. I went to several different schools trying to get into one of them drafts, but never made it. Well, whatever. You got in a CB outfit there, and there. I remember I was saying that my brother-in-law made me do mechanic work while the kids were playing. I had to maybe fix on a tractor or something. I would be so mad. That really helped me because I could do all that and heavy equipment. And I just loved to run the equipment because, that was some big cats. Backhoe, drag line, I could run anything. And they gave us a chance to do that. Well, they finally loaded us, they took me out to, Treasure Island. They said it was being shipped out. They wouldn't tell you where he was going. But we had all kinds of rumors. All I knew, we were going out in the South Pacific. We was out about 3 days, and it's now announced over the PA system on our ship. Now hear this, now hear this. We are now in enemy waters. If anybody falls overboard, we cannot, and we will not stop for you. We'll drop you some supplies and hope somebody can stop and pick you up. Then I realized, hey, this is for real. I'm too dang young. I should be in school. No kidding. That's the officer when he had a problem. Go see the chaplain. I wanted to. I could just about imagine them turning the ship around for Gilman, Lincoln, taking him back to shore. He's too young for this too. I found out what being lonesome, sad was. Boy, I felt like crying. And I was having to think, what the heck, am I chicken? Am I scared? Yes, I was scared. And I realized what was really going on then. Well, the heck with it. I volunteered for it. Dang it, might as well make the best of it. So I got over that. One of you guys showed me that book about the Navy, seen that rough seas and stuff. Man, the boys were, a lot of the guys were seasick. I never got seasick. Like I said, I made up my mind to enjoy it, and I did. So I guess maybe that's why. First island I ever saw was Pearl Harbor. Wow, an island, something new. Went aboard, and we got on the island, and I was expecting to see the Japanese coming out from behind that palm tree, and here it was a nice little city. That was my experience, but we stayed in Pearl Harbor. I don't remember how long. We were very long. It wasn't very long. And they loaded us up again, and still didn't know where we was going. We got rammed just before we even got out of the harbor. It took us back, and I got on what they used to call a baby aircraft carrier. Not these great big ones. They made some a regular cargo ship, like they put a flight deck on them because they were really hard up for. They call them baby aircraft carriers. And they loaded us on one of them. We took off.
We're going to stop right here and change tapes.
We're out of tape.